Hello, my girlfriend said. My ex wants to get coffee and catch up. You're not invited. I replied, understood. Then I refunded the ring deposit and packed quietly. When she came back, there was a note on the counter. How was coffee? For context, I'm Mark, 29M. She's Jess, 27F. We've been together almost 3 years, living together for 1. We'd been ring shopping 2 weeks earlier. I'd already put down a deposit. That matters later. We were standing in our kitchen on a Tuesday night, the kind where nothing interesting happens. I was rinsing a mug. She was leaning against the counter scrolling her phone with that half smirk she gets when she already knows something I don't. Then she said it, like she was talking about a weather update. My ex wants to get coffee and catch up. You're not invited. No pause. No explanation. No, are you okay with this? Just a statement, delivered with that sharp little edge she uses when she's daring me to argue. I asked who reached out first. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. God, why do you always make things weird? He just wants to talk. We're adults. I said I wasn't thrilled about it. I said it felt disrespectful. I said maybe inviting me would make it less loaded. That's when her tone changed. Colder. Meaner. This isn't about you. I'm not managing your insecurity right now. Then she grabbed her purse and keys and added, over her shoulder, I'll be back later. Don't wait up. That was the moment. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just clear. I replied, understood. She paused, surprised I didn't argue. Smirked again, satisfied. And left. She didn't hear the sound of me setting the mug down. She didn't see me pull my phone out and open my banking app. She didn't know I was already thinking about how quiet the apartment would feel without her voice cutting through every room. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I did math. By the time the front door closed, I wasn't her boyfriend anymore. I just hadn't told her yet. Once the door shut, the apartment felt bigger. Not emptier, just quieter in a way that made it easier to think. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. The same table where we'd eaten takeout and talked about engagement timelines like they were calendar invites. I didn't rush. That was the strange part. Everything I did next felt slow and deliberate, like I'd already accepted the outcome and was just executing steps. First thing I did was pull up my email and search for the jeweler. The ring deposit confirmation popped up immediately. $2,000. Non-refundable after 30 days. We were on day 28. I clicked call. While the phone rang, I stared at the dent in the wall near the hallway, left over from when Jess slammed a door during an argument about my tone. She'd said I made her feel criticized when I asked her not to text her ex at midnight. I remember apologizing just to end the fight. The jeweler answered. I explained, calmly, that I needed to cancel the order. There was a pause, then some typing. You're still within the window, he said. We can process a full refund today. I thanked him. My voice didn't shake. Next was logistics. I opened our shared expenses spreadsheet, the one she insisted on keeping but never updated. Rent was coming out of my account. Utilities too. The lease was month to month, both names on it, but I'd paid the deposit and first 2 months up front when she was between jobs. I booked a storage unit 5 blocks away. Small. Temporary. Just enough. Then I packed. Not angrily. Not dramatically. I folded my clothes the way I always do, neat stacks, shirts facing the same direction. I left the gifts I'd bought her. The framed photos of us stayed on the shelf. They didn't feel like mine anymore. Around midnight, I found the notebook in my desk drawer, the one where I'd written possible proposal ideas. A hike, a weekend trip, something intimate. I flipped it closed and put it back. Before I left, I wrote a note. Just one line. No explanation. No accusations. I placed it on the counter, right where she'd toss her keys. Then I turned off the lights and walked out with 2 suitcases and a sense of calm that scared me a little. She was probably laughing over coffee right about then. I wondered how long it would take her to notice the silence. I slept better than I expected. The hotel room smelled like detergent and recycled air, the kind of neutral nothingness that doesn't ask questions. When I woke up, my phone was face down on the nightstand. I hadn't checked it since I left. I made coffee from the sad little machine and finally turned the screen over. 3 missed calls. All from Jess. No texts yet. That tracked. She hated leaving voicemails. She liked control too much to talk into a void. I didn't call back. Instead, I went through my morning like it was any other Wednesday. Shower. Button-down shirt. Tie I knew she didn't like because it made me look corporate. I liked it anyway. I checked out, loaded my bags into the car, and drove to work. Around 10:17 a.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. Where are you? No greeting. No concern. Just irritation wrapped in 4 words. I waited 10 minutes before replying. Not to play games, just because I was in a meeting and my life didn't pause for her anymore. Out. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, are you seriously doing this right now? I stared at the message and realized something uncomfortable but honest. She didn't sound worried. She sounded inconvenienced. At lunch, I ate alone at my desk and scrolled through our old messages. Not to torture myself, more like confirming what I already knew. Every argument followed the same arc. I'd bring something up calmly. She'd dismiss it. If I pushed, I was too sensitive, dramatic, or my personal favorite, ruining the vibe. By 2 p.m., she called again. I let it go to voicemail. This time she left one. Okay, this isn't funny anymore, she said, her voice tight. If you're trying to punish me, congratulations. You've made your point. Call me back. Punish. That word landed harder than it should have. I wasn't punishing her. I was responding. After work, I drove past our apartment without slowing down. Muscle memory tried to pull me toward it anyway. Instead, I went to the storage unit and unloaded my bags. Seeing my things stacked neatly in that concrete room felt right. Temporary, but right. That night, another text came through. We need to talk like adults. I almost laughed. We had talked. She just hadn't liked what my silence was saying. She finally came back the next evening. I wasn't there, obviously. I know this because she told me. Later, exactly how it went, piece by piece, like she was narrating a crime scene where she was both the victim and the detective. But at the time, I was sitting on the edge of a borrowed bed at my friend Evan's place, scrolling through emails, when my phone started vibrating nonstop. Call after call. Text after text. Why is half your stuff gone? Where are you staying? This is extreme, even for you. That one stung a little. Even for you. Like I was known for being dramatic, not known for swallowing things until they sat heavy in my chest. Then came the photo. She'd taken a picture of the kitchen counter. My handwriting was unmistakable. Black pen, uneven letters. The note. How was coffee? 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, are you serious right now? I imagined her standing there, still wearing whatever outfit she'd picked carefully for him. Probably telling herself the coffee was innocent. Probably replaying the conversation, wondering which version of it she'd eventually tell her friends. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I opened my banking app and confirmed the refund had posted. $2,000 back in my account. Clean. Final. A few minutes later, she sent a voice memo. I didn't open it. I could already hear the arc of it in my head. Confusion first, then anger, then that brittle laugh she used when she felt cornered. Another text followed. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. That was the moment I felt something settle in me. Not relief. Not sadness. Clarity. She thought the problem was the coffee. Or the ex. Or the note. The problem was that when she said, "You're not invited," she meant, "You don't get a say." I finally replied with one sentence. There's nothing left to explain. The typing bubble appeared again. Stayed longer this time. Then disappeared. For the first time since this started, the silence wasn't tense. It was earned. The next morning, she showed up at my office. I only know this because the receptionist buzzed me and said my wife was downstairs. Jess always corrected people when they made that mistake. Boyfriend, she'd say, with a little laugh, like marriage was a concept she liked dangling but not touching. I told the receptionist I was in a meeting and couldn't come down. That wasn't true. I was sitting at my desk staring at a spreadsheet, but I needed a minute to decide who I was going to be next. She didn't leave. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. So you're really going to hide now? Hide. Another interesting word. I finally went downstairs. She was standing near the elevators, arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes scanning the lobby like she was daring someone to watch us. She looked angry, not hurt. Put together. Lipstick perfect. The same jacket she wore on important days. You embarrassed me, she said immediately. Not hello. Not are you okay? You disappeared. You left a note like you're some kind of movie character. I kept my voice low. This isn't the place. She laughed, sharp and humorless. Oh, now you care about appropriateness? That was always her move. Flip the script, make the reaction the crime. I asked her if the coffee was worth it. She scoffed. You're really stuck on that? It was just coffee. You act like I cheated. I didn't correct her. I didn't need to. I told her I'd moved out, that the ring was refunded, that I was done. Her face changed then. Not sadness, panic. The kind that comes when someone realizes a door actually closed. You don't get to decide that unilaterally, she snapped. We were building something. I nodded. I was. You were keeping options. That's when she said the quiet part out loud. You're throwing everything away over your ego. I smiled just a little. No, I'm keeping my self-respect. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. Neither did I. And for the first time, that felt like progress. The fallout didn't explode right away. It trickled. That night, my phone stayed quiet for a few hours, which almost felt louder than the chaos before. I figured she was regrouping, rewriting the story in her head into something she could live with. Jess never reacted immediately when she felt like she'd lost ground. She recalibrated. Around 11:40 p.m., the texts started again. I talked to him for 20 minutes. Nothing happened. You made me feel like a villain for no reason. I didn't respond. Then came the pivot. I told my sister what you did, and even she thinks this is extreme. That one made me exhale slowly. Jess loved bringing in third parties like referees. If enough people sided with her, she could pretend the issue was objective, not personal. A few minutes later. So what? You just walk away without a conversation. After everything I've put into us. There it was. The reframe. Suddenly she was the one who'd invested, sacrificed, carried weight. I pictured the nights I'd rearranged my schedule for her, the times I'd apologized just to restore peace, the way I'd slowly learned which versions of myself caused less friction. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Eventually, I sent one line. You didn't lose me when you went for coffee. You lost me when you decided I didn't matter enough to be included. She read it immediately. The dots appeared, stayed, disappeared, then nothing. The next morning, I woke up lighter. Not happy, just unburdened. Like I'd set down a weight I'd been pretending wasn't heavy. At work, I caught myself humming. That surprised me. Later that day, Evan asked if I wanted to grab a drink. I said yes without checking my phone first. That felt new. When I came back that night, there was an email from Jess. Subject line, can we please talk? I didn't open it. Some conversations only exist to pull you back into the same loop. And I was finally out. The first person to break the silence wasn't her. It was her friend Maya. Maya and I were never close, but she'd always been around. Brunches, birthdays, the occasional passive-aggressive comment disguised as concern. Her message came in mid-afternoon. Hey, I know this isn't my place, but Jess is really struggling. She didn't think you'd actually leave. I read it twice. Didn't think you'd actually leave. Like leaving was a bluff. Like I was supposed to hover on the edge of consequence forever. I replied with exactly what I felt. I didn't leave to teach a lesson. I left because I learned one. No response. That evening, Jess emailed again. This time it was longer. Paragraphs. A timeline of our relationship rewritten through her lens. She mentioned how stressed she'd been lately, how she felt smothered, how the coffee was supposed to be closure. She even apologized for how I interpreted things. There was a line near the end that finally snapped the last thread. I just wish you trusted me instead of walking away. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Trust wasn't the issue. I'd trusted her when she said her ex was ancient history. Trusted her when she said boundaries were implied. Trusted her when she said I was overthinking things. What she meant was compliance. I closed the email without responding and archived the whole thread. Not out of anger. Out of finality. Later that night, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in a while, an old coworker, at the corner store. We talked for 10 minutes about nothing important. At one point, he asked how Jess was. I said, we broke up. He blinked. Oh, sorry, man. I shrugged and realized I meant it. When I got back to Evan's place, I noticed something strange. I wasn't checking my phone anymore. Whatever storm she was in, I wasn't standing in the rain with her this time. About a week later, I went back to the apartment for the last time. Jess wasn't home. I checked first, not because I was afraid of a confrontation, but because I didn't want one. Closure, I'd learned, is usually just another argument wearing a softer coat. The place looked the same, but it felt staged now, like a set after filming Wraps. Her throw pillows were still lined up, just so. The candle she always lit when she wanted the apartment to feel calm sat untouched on the coffee table. I moved quickly, methodically. The last few things I'd left behind on purpose. Books, a jacket, a spare charger. Things I didn't need, but didn't want replaced in my absence like evidence I'd never existed. In the bedroom, I noticed something small that almost made me laugh. The ring box. Empty, obviously. She must have gone looking for it. That tiny square of velvet sat on the dresser like a question she didn't want answered. I took nothing else. I didn't leave another note. On my way out, I ran into our neighbor in the hallway. He smiled politely and asked if everything was okay. People always ask that when they already sensed the answer. Yeah, I said. Just moving on. He nodded like he understood. That night, Jess texted me for the first time in days. I saw the ring box. No accusation. No anger. Just that. I waited an hour before replying. You told me I wasn't invited. I took that seriously. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. That was it. No follow-up. No defense. For the first time, she didn't know what to say. And I realized something important in that silence. She'd expected me to orbit her forever. To be there, waiting, while she tested other gravitational pulls. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was just gone. And it turns out, that's the one outcome she never planned for. 2 weeks passed. That's when the narrative shifted. I started hearing things through other people, mutual friends, acquaintances, the loose social web that forms when you've shared a life. Apparently, Jess was blindsided. Apparently, I left without warning. Apparently, the coffee had been innocent and my reaction had been cold and unhinged. I didn't correct anyone. That was another lesson I didn't know I'd learn. You don't owe your silence an explanation. People who want to understand well. People who want a villain already have one picked out. One night, Evan mentioned that Jess had posted something vague on Instagram. A black screen. White text. Sometimes the people who say they love you leave the fastest. I felt nothing. No urge to defend myself. No spike of anger. Just a mild recognition of the pattern. Pain reframed as performance. A few days later, she tried one last angle. She emailed again. Short this time. I never thought you'd actually walk away. I thought you loved me enough to fight. That sentence sat with me for a while. Fight. What she meant was argue. Negotiate. Compromise myself down into something smaller so she wouldn't have to feel uncomfortable. I didn't reply. Instead, I deleted her contact entirely. Not blocked, deleted. There's a difference. Blocking is reactive. Deleting is finished. That weekend, I moved into my own place. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom. Quiet street. Boxes still everywhere. It didn't look like a shared future, and that was the point. As I unpacked, I found the spare keys she'd given me months ago, still on my keyring. I held it for a second, then dropped it into the junk drawer. Not out of spite. Out of habit breaking. Later that night, sitting on the floor eating takeout from the carton, I realized something had changed in the way I thought about the whole thing. I didn't miss her. I missed the version of myself I'd been before I started explaining my worth. And that version? He was already back. It's been a month now. People still ask how I'm doing, usually with that careful tone, like they're afraid I'll crack if they press too hard. I tell them I'm fine. Not fine like I'm pretending. Fine like something painful has already finished hurting. Jess tried one last time, indirectly. She didn't reach out to me. She sent a message to Evan instead. Said she hoped I was doing okay, and that she never meant for things to end like this. Evan showed it to me and asked if I wanted him to respond. I said no. Because here's the truth I didn't understand until everything stopped. The ending wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the note. It wasn't the ring refund. It wasn't even the coffee. It ended the moment she spoke like I was optional. Everything after that was just me catching up to a decision she'd already made without realizing it. I don't hate her. I don't wish her anything bad. I hope she gets coffee with whoever she wants. I hope one day she understands why someone can love you deeply and still walk away quietly. As for me, my apartment is slowly starting to feel like home. I bought a cheap plant. It's still alive. I sleep on my side of the bed without apologizing for it. I make decisions without wondering how they'll be received. Sometimes I think about the note on the counter. How was coffee? Not as sarcasm. Not as revenge. Just as a question she never expected to cost her everything. And that's okay. Some answers only come after you leave. Bye-bye.